tonight than what I did last night with my little things on the side there. We'll see how it goes. I think I'm going live. My phone's being silly now. We'll go for it anyway. We'll see what happens. Yes, it's saying I'm going live. So welcome to day 2 on this exploration of awareness around mental health and well-being. And today we're looking at trusting ourselves, which might be quite a big thing for some people. Trusting ourselves, trusting other people. I think a lot of the time with clients that I see, we were talking yesterday about bringing the past into the present. If we've been through something in our life where maybe somebody let us down, or somebody, I don't know, mistreated us in some way, whether that's in a relationship or in our family upbringing or whatever it is, we can kind of start to doubt ourselves and maybe not trust our judgment to a certain extent. Anybody that's followed me knows that my last relationship was not the best relationship, and it did leave me with a few things hanging over from it that I'm not going to talk about today. But I just want to let you know that I understand if you've been in a relationship. I've done quite a few posts on gaslighting and things like that, and it does impact on us, and we can bring that from our past into our present. That's one of the reasons why I'm not in a relationship now, and I can't see me ever being in a relationship. But we're not going to talk about me tonight. We're going to talk about you, because this is called trusting yourself. So I'm going to put my first little slide up, and hopefully these will all go in a nice neat line down the bottom. So first of all, before I start talking about what we can do about being aware of trusting ourselves and, you know, looking on the other side of it, how to build that trust in ourselves and in others, I want to talk a little bit about maybe how you feel if you don't trust yourself. Some of the warning signs, let's say, because sometimes we're not even aware of it. If we look at what we were talking about yesterday, about our life script and our driver behaviours and those sort of things, if it's something that we've been doing for an awful long time, often we're not even aware that that's what we're doing. If you've been through some kind of trauma when you were younger, you would probably have made some decision around things aren't safe for me, or that I can't trust people, or that I can't trust myself in this situation. And then it becomes kind of in our subconscious, so we're not even aware that that's one of the beliefs that we've got, because we spoke about, you know, beliefs and things like that yesterday. Are the ours? This might be one that you made when you were a lot younger, or you might have consciously made this decision. I'm not very good at choosing the right people to be around, or I'm not very good about making the right decisions about life choices or anything really. So just bear that in mind. The whole of this and the 3 days all kind of linked together. The first one was around knowing yourself. This one's around trusting yourself, and tomorrow is around loving yourself. One of the things I often talk about with clients, particularly in the early days, is self-esteem. And I think it's Richard Erskine's 4 domains of the self, and we need all 4 of these to be kind of level, if that makes sense. So we've got thinking and feeling and physiological, which is all, you know, the physiological feelings that we have in our body. You know, if we're feeling anxious, we get a bit of an upset stomach maybe, or you know, we get tingling in our fingers. So it's the things that we feel in our body and our behaviour. So there's 4 things. There's thinking, feeling, physiological and behaviour. And those make up the whole person. But sometimes we're more of a thinker and a doer, as in behaviour, than what we are a feeler, as in emotions and what we feel in our body. So if we can level all those up, kind of like a bar chart, then we're said to have a healthy self-esteem. If we're more of a thinker than a feeler, then maybe our feeling is quite low and our thinking is quite high. So sometimes it's kind of a bit out of sync. So it's about understanding where we are today and whether we want to change that. What do we want to do about it, if we want to do anything? So one of the first kind of signals that maybe you're not the best at trusting yourself is that you might feel like you're not good enough. There might be that internal dialogue that we touched on yesterday that's running through, everybody's better than me. You might compare yourself to other people a lot of the time in a work situation, or in a parenting situation. The parents seem to have it all together. I'm just muddling through this, and half the time I haven't got a flipping clue what I'm doing. So you might not feel good enough in certain areas of your life, that you need to work really hard to keep up with the pack, so to speak. The next one is that you can be really hard on yourself and quite critical and judgmental of yourself, and that often you can kind of come away feeling quite guilty and shamed sometimes. If you're out with your mates in a group and everybody's cracking jokes and then you suddenly make a joke and it kind of goes down like a lead balloon, you might feel really ashamed, or that the spotlight's put on you and you don't particularly like it. And it's confidence for me isn't self-esteem. Confidence, we can fake it till we make it. I know for me, I can go out sometimes and be really confident even though inside I'm kind of crumbling. In work situations, if I've got to go and do a talk, I've done some talks in workplaces before now. Me and a colleague went down and we did a talk with the military once, and it was nerve-wracking, really nerve-wracking. But it was kind of a work situation, so I just put on my big girl knickers and I faked it. I literally did lots and lots of planning. I had lots of handouts and everything. So outwardly, people might think that I'm quite confident because I can stand in front of a lot of people. But what's going on inside is completely different. What goes on inside for me is more self-esteem. It's our self-worth and how we feel we fit into the world. So that's kind of what I'm talking about more today, rather than the confidence. We can learn things so that we feel more confident about it. That doesn't mean to say that we're not, giving ourselves a hard time, that we don't feel embarrassed or ashamed about certain things, that we don't feel like we're, not good enough some of the time. So the next one, difficulty making decisions. This is quite a big one. This for me, when my state of mind isn't in a good place, when I've been through a breakup or something, I find it really difficult to make decisions. I question everything I'm doing, whether it's going to be the right thing. I can remember once I was going shopping and there was too many toothbrushes. I couldn't even decide which toothbrush I wanted because there was too much choice. So I literally came away and didn't buy a toothbrush because I just felt so overwhelmed with all the information and all the decisions around a toothbrush. That's sometimes how low self-esteem and lack of confidence and all those sort of things can play out in an everyday situation. When we need to check in with other people and ask other people's opinions on pretty much everything before we feel able to make a decision. And the interesting thing about this sometimes is that when we're asking other people's opinions on something that's going on for us, the more we talk about our experience about what's going on. Say, I keep talking about a breakup, but it's quite a good example to use. If you're, you've fallen out with your partner or husband, you've not necessarily broke up, but you're having an argument with them. So you go out and you're having a right old gripe with your mates about, you'll never believe what he's done. He came in last night and he was supposed to be back at 7:30 and he wasn't back until 8:30. And then I'd made him his tea, but he said he'd already eaten when he was out. And it's just such a real lack of respect and everything. I don't know why he's doing it. The more we tell our story to other people, the more that story grows legs and comes to life, and then we kind of inwardly digest it and it becomes a thing. So often when we're asking other people's opinions, it's because we kind of want permission to feel the way that we do. God forbid if any of our friends at that point say, well, actually, I think you're being a bit, you're overreacting to this, it's not that bad. they're not buying into your story. So at that point, that's not going to be very helpful for you, particularly if your self-esteem has took a bit of a knocking over whatever it is that's going on. So if you can't make a decision on your own without asking for permission or getting validation from those around you or asking for their opinions, the reality is, a lot of the time, and again I say this to clients an awful lot of the time, is other people's opinions are none of our business. People will often have a difference of opinions, and that's okay. It's not personal, it's just that they feel different to you. Sometimes people comment on my posts and they're not the nicest of comments, but I'm fine with that. It helps with the algorithms a lot of the time. But often, particularly if it's quite an angry slating post that somebody's put up, my instant reaction is, what's going on for them? Why do they feel the need to react or respond to me in that way when I'm being quite harmless in the comments that I'm making? I don't talk politics. I tend to stay well clear of that. And the one particular time where I was thinking, whoa, that's really interesting, is I was giving away a free course on exploring anxiety, of all things, because I thought it was when we were at the beginning of the pandemic, and I thought, this might be helpful to some people, so I'm going to give it away for free. And I got slated for it. I don't know whether they misunderstood the post. I don't know whether they'd got out of bed the wrong way, or they'd had a bad day, or whatever it is. But it didn't go very well for them. But I just thought instantly, wow, they must really be, not in a good place at the moment. If they don't even trust that I'm giving this away for free, that there's ulterior motives to it or something, then, there must be something underneath that for them. So, yeah, just bear in mind whether you're constantly having to ask for other people's opinions before you make a decision. And the last one, hiding the real you and feeling overly self-conscious. We all have masks that we put on around certain people. One of the things in transactional analysis that I talk about a lot is that we have a performing personality, which is the one that we project out, the one that we don't mind people seeing, being the life and soul of the party, being the class clown, being the perfect parent, being the perfect wife, mother, daughter, whatever it is. We project that out because we don't mind people seeing it. There's also another part to us, which is our surviving personality, which is the parts of us that we feel quite vulnerable and we don't particularly want people to show that. So, sometimes we're not the real authentic us in certain situations. For me, the face of my business, I will admit it, I'm not 100% authentic when I'm online. When I'm working with my VIP members and I'm in the private part of the platform, I feel more comfortable and less vulnerable, and I can be more myself. I share more about my family and what's going on for me. I drop the F-bomb now and then. I feel comfortable in that group, so I can be more authentically me. Whereas, on open pages, I don't necessarily want everybody in the world to know my business. So, that's okay in certain situations. But when we feel like we can't be the real us or the authentic us in lots of different places, that again is going to affect our self-esteem and our confidence. And the more we do it, the less likely we are to feel comfortable when it's okay to show our authentic self. So I am going to get rid of those now, and hopefully I will remember which slide I've got to put on now and whether it's the right one. Yes, it is the right one. I'll get rid of that one and put that one up. No, I'll get rid of that one and put that one up. This is not very good, is it? So bear with me. No, we'll forget it. I was going to put the title up at the top, but I'm not going to do it. We're on day 2, trust in yourself. So what can we do in order to increase our trust in ourselves and in other people, to that matter? Because if we don't trust ourselves, it's highly likely that we're going to trust other people around us. We become just, not trusting of anybody. We can grow an awareness of our thoughts and our feelings. Again, it links into yesterday when I was talking about our life script and our beliefs and values and those sort of things. Like I said, if we've brought something from our past into our present and we learnt to not trust people, or maybe we learnt to be a little bit skeptical or something like that, then, be aware of your thoughts. If somebody says something to you and your instant thought is, yeah, right, I bet, that thought is then going to create a feeling around that person. If somebody's being really nice to you and you're kind of suspicious and think they're after something, that thought is then going to trigger a range of feelings for you, every time you're around that person. And we spoke about projection yesterday. It might not even be that person that's in front of you that's making you feel that way. It could be somebody from your past that did something similar, looked a similar way, said similar words, and you've just kind of projected that out onto that person. So again, our thoughts and feelings are, really important in all of this. Tomorrow I'm going to be talking a little bit about the 3 principles, which is something that I use in my therapy all the time. It kind of overarches. And it was brought about by a chap called Sydney Banks. And, he believes, as, I do now, is that our thoughts create our feelings 100% of the time. If we're having an anxious thought, then we're going to have an anxious feeling. If we're feeling scared, it's because we're having scary thoughts. That's how it works. We don't have a feeling unless we've had a thought before it. And a lot of these are out of our awareness. That's a surprising thing. It's not that we have a conscious thought. You open your eyes and you think, I'm going to be anxious today. It's not a conscious thought. It's just an undercurrent of something. I've spoke about this example before, but I'm going to talk about it again because sometimes this doesn't seem to make sense. I don't like flying. Hold my hand up. I've made a conscious effort because my daughter moved out to Spain to fly. So I had a flight with my best friend earlier on. I needed to get some clothes to go on holiday with, like you do as a woman. You always like to buy something new. So it was probably, I was flying maybe in a week's time or something, and I had to go to Tesco to buy some stuff for my holiday. Just the thought of going to Tesco's to buy some clothes was enough to trigger feelings of apprehension for me about the holiday, even though it was like 2 weeks ahead. It was just the fact that I was shopping for clothes to take away with me was enough to start me feeling anxious about it. So it's like our brain connects all the things up. I've got to go shopping. I've got to go shopping for clothes for the holiday. Oh yeah, I'm going on holiday. I need to catch a plane. I'm going away from home. So all those thoughts come thick and fast, completely out of your awareness, or they did out of my awareness. So just be mindful when I'm talking about thoughts. I'm not talking about a conscious thought that you're having. Often it's kind of an underlying one. What else have we got? Learn how to express yourself openly and honestly. This can be quite a difficult one. Again, it goes on to us being our authentic self. How do we express ourselves openly and honestly? And where do we feel it's okay to do that? I was speaking on something or to something, I can't even remember when I was doing it, about, when it's appropriate to express certain feelings and when it's not. Again, that links into our beliefs that I was talking about yesterday. If I'm walking around Tesco's and I suddenly feel sad and really tearful, I would think that's not appropriate. Why would I feel sad when I'm walking around Tesco's? I'm just doing that. I should get money for advertising because I'm always talking about Tesco's. But why would I feel sad walking around Tesco's? It doesn't make any sense. So to me, I would think that would be an inappropriate place to do it. It's not, because there is no inappropriate place to have an emotion. I'm just talking about how sometimes my head works. If I went to visit my dad's grave. My dad passed away a few years ago. If I went there, then it would be appropriate for me to feel sad there in my head. The reality is, it's appropriate to have a feeling, whatever feeling it is, wherever you are. So being, able to express ourselves openly and honestly, for me, links into, knowing ourselves and knowing where we feel comfortable to do that. It might be in a particular place where you feel comfortable to be more open and honest. It might be around particular people. The opposite might be true, that, around certain people, you feel like you can't be open and honest about certain things because of how it will be received. So again, it's just being mindful of these situations. I love this one. Follow your own path. As I said before, people will always have an opinion and they might not always agree with what you're doing. But it's okay for you to follow your own path, because again, when we start to trust ourselves and our self-esteem and our confidence is quite high, often we will make these choices without worrying about it. It makes sense to follow our own path. Why would I not? Why would I follow somebody else's? But when we're doubting ourselves, when we're, constantly checking up ourselves, when we're judging ourselves, it's highly unlikely that we're going to do that. We're more likely to follow the majority, or we're more likely to follow somebody else's path because it's safer if we're together, type of thing. Remember your own values and beliefs. Look at, where you want to be in 5 years' time, and is what you're doing today going to take you closer to that? So again, it's just about being curious. It's not about judging yourself. It's all about just being curious. And truly know that you can get through difficult times. This, for me, this links into the 3 principles that I was talking about earlier on. Because if you're an overthinker and you do an awful lot of the what if thinking, what if this happens? What if I make a decision and it's wrong? That's a classic kind of internal dialogue of somebody who doesn't trust themselves. One, we all make mistakes. As long as it's not, life and death situations here, it doesn't matter whether it's the right decision or the wrong decision in that moment. That's making a mistake. Sometimes we choose the wrong path. That's okay. We don't need to continue going down it. As soon as we think, oh yeah, that wasn't the best decision, then we can make a different choice and choose something else. But if we look at the 3 principles, which I will talk more about tomorrow, it's kind of like having an internal sat nav that is guiding us through life to a certain extent. But if you've got a sat nav in your car, your sat nav won't tell you what to do 3 miles before you need to turn, because there's no point. It's not going, you're going to turn left in it, you're going to turn left in a bit, you're going to turn left. It doesn't do that. It just says, take the next left, and then you turn. And that's kind of like our inner wisdom. If we're worrying about the what ifs all the time, what if I make the wrong decision? What if this happens? What if I get anxious when I go out? What if I make a fool of myself? Your brain can't comprehend that because it's not happening right now. Our inner wisdom will guide us at exactly the right time that we need to do something when we need to do it. It's not going to give us a heads up before that. If ever you're in a crisis situation, you will know what to do and when to do it. That's how it works. It's kind of like if you going down the road with your kids and it's maybe by a main road, and you're setting off thinking, oh God, what if they run out in the street? What if a car's coming around that corner any minute now and we step off that path? What if a car comes hurtling down and I trip up and fall in the road? Whatever random thoughts go through your head. I guarantee that if one of your children was going out onto the road and the car was coming, you would grab them, you would stop them, you would do something. But you can't preempt that until it's actually happening. That's our internal sat nav. That's how it works. Often we try to work it out before we need to, and it's exhausting and it's a waste of time, really. We've just got to start to trust that when we need to, we will make the right decisions. That's how it works. So that truly know that you can get through a difficult time, for me, is one of the big ones. Often we think, I'll never survive, and we do. You've lived through 100% of the worst days of your life. If you're sat listening to this now, then you have already been through 100% of the worst days of your life. And I think sometimes we got to give ourselves credit for that. I know they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and people put things on you because they know how strong you are. It doesn't feel like that when you're going through it. I understand that. But when we trust ourselves enough, one, to forgive ourselves if we make a mistake, two, that we're all okay. We can be anxious and okay at the same time. We can be scared and okay at the same time. We can be anxious and still do wonderful things. We can be sad and achieve amazing things. It's not like we have to pick a choice and it's an either or situation. It's about understanding that feelings are transient. They come and go. Our thoughts are transient. They come and go. So just give yourself a bit of a break sometimes, and maybe explore the first set of things that I put up, whether you do think that your self-esteem and your confidence is taken a knock, whether your state of mind is kind of at a low place. I'm going to talk more about this tomorrow, so tune in tomorrow to get more about state of mind and the 3 principles and those sort of things. But just be curious and explore some of these. Do you follow your own path? Are you authentically you, in most areas of your life? I don't think any of us are in all areas of our life. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. If you are, leave me a comment. So I'm going to finish up now. I hope you've got something from that. If you've got any questions, then feel free to comment underneath this wherever you're watching it, or to email me. You can email me, jackie@jackiejones.co.uk. Don't forget about the platform. You can join the platform, which is livinglifebeinghuman.com. You can also find out a little bit more about my membership. It's livinglifebeinghuman.com/VIP. What do you get in the membership? I've not even spoke about it really, have I? So I'll say a little bit about it. It's for women only, or females only. It's a monthly subscription, and for that we do a live Zoom every Friday at 8:30. Religiously every Friday we meet up. You have access to 2 30-minute coaching calls. It's first come, first serve. So if you want to have a one-to-one with me, which is more of a coaching type thing, then you just book in one of those, and that comes as part of the membership. We have a private WhatsApp group, so you've got access to me 24/7 basically. I might not answer at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night, but I will pick it up as soon as I can. There's a membership email that goes out. What else is there? I'm trying to think. I should put a list up really of all the things that we've got. All the courses, any courses that I bring out, you get those for free. You get first dibs on a lot of things that I've got coming up. I always run it as kind of a beta group as well. Whatever I'm putting out there, whether it's a free course or a paid for course, the members always get that. I'm working on trying to get an app together as well, which I think might be helpful, that people can access straight off the phone as opposed to having to go onto the platform or anything. So there's lots of good things coming up, so stick with me and I will let you know what's coming up when it's coming up. So tomorrow is going to be around loving yourself. It's going to be a similar vein to this. I'm just going to shut all these off now. It's going to be a similar vein to this. It's the last of the 3 days, and then on Thursday it's a question and answer. So if you've got any questions around any of this at all, then feel free to just comment, or like I said, drop me an email, jackie@jackiejones.co.uk, and I will answer them on Thursday. If you want me to keep it anonymous, I'm absolutely fine with that. I'll probably keep them all anonymous actually, because people don't need to know what your name is. But there are no silly questions, because I can guarantee if you're wondering what the answer is, somebody else will be as well. So yeah, thank you for joining me, and I shall see you all tomorrow at the same time, 8:30. Take care.